Packers fans, this is the Packer Mentality Podcast where I try to keep you up to date and shed a little light on what is happening on and off the field with the Packers. Whether you're new to this channel or joined me before, I want to take a moment and tell you thank you for being here and welcome. As usual, please help me build this channel and take a minute to subscribe. And when we're all done, go follow me on social media at Packer Mentality. I will put the links in the description. Very frustrated. The Packers lost to the Steelers 23-19. But that score does not tell the whole story. And I'm not talking about moral victories here. No one should be happy with a loss. But today there were absolutely inexcusable mistakes on special teams that cost the Packers again. First, Anders Carlson, not sure what he was trying to do, tries to get cute on a kickoff, and he kicks it out of bounds, which gave the Steelers a short field, which they really didn't need to drive down and score. And then a little later in the first half, the Packers allowed the Steelers to block an extra point on a missed block by Josiah DeGuara. I'm not even sure what to call that. Can you call it a missed block if he doesn't even attempt the block? Kind of looked like he was suffering a medical issue or a stroke on the play and he just didn't move. And it turns out 1 point was huge at the end of the game. They were down four when being down three meant the Packers would have only had to kick a field goal at the end of the game. And late in the game, they were in easy field goal range twice. Special teams weren't the only disaster today. I am done with the Packers defense. It's a mirage. Looks good, but when you get up close, it's no substance. All those number one draft picks that they can put on the field. And look at what that defense accomplished against the Bears, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Rams. All looks okay on paper, but there's no substance to this defense. In reality, this defense is only good against bad offenses. The Vikings didn't need to run the ball because they could throw the ball all over the Packers. And then the Falcons, the Lions, the Broncos, and now the Steelers could all run whenever they wanted against this defense. Today, Packers defense gave up another 200 yards on the ground. No resistance at all by the defense on the first two Steelers drives of the game. Green Bay has no one making plays on the defense. There were two chances for turnovers, and the Packers could not make the play. Devondre Campbell dropped a possible pick six, and Keyshawn Nixon had the opportunity but couldn't get his feet down in bounds on another interception. And those big time first round pass rushers, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, and Lucas Van Ness, were all on the field today. Just one sack. And that was after having just one sack last week against a bad Rams offensive line. That's not good enough. This is a poorly coached defense. All the missed tackles today. I'll say it again. They are one of the worst tackling teams I've seen. And that doesn't completely fall on the players. This coaching staff doesn't have them working on tackling, at least not correctly. They got outed by their own social media team a few weeks ago. The Packers social media team posted a video of the Packers working on tackling, but the drill showed players diving onto a pad and throwing a shoulder into a tackling dummy. Zero form, zero technique, no wrapping up. And that's what this team, this defense does in games. And that's why they have so many missed tackles. And for all the Joe Barry haters out there, Joe once again put his players in bad situations, and it cost the Packers points. Inside the 5-yard line, lining up at defense with only two defensive linemen. Why? I don't know any situation when you're up against the goal line why you would only have two defensive linemen on the field. And just like every other time he's done that this year, the offense easily ran the ball in for a touchdown. And the fact that this wasn't the first time he's done this is all you need to know. Let's talk about something positive. Packers offense had a pretty good day against a tough Steelers defense. They outgained the Steelers 399 to 324 yards. And the Packers offense actually scored 2 touchdowns in the first half. It was a mixed bag for the Packers running game. Aaron Jones really didn't do much with 13 carries for 35 yards, but AJ Dillon had his best game of the season. He had a 40-yard run and finished with 9 carries for 70 yards. It was Jordan Love and the passing game that carried this Packers offense. Despite a somewhat ugly box score for Jordan Love, he played really well on Sunday. He was 21 for 40, which wasn't great, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but he had 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the bad part of that was 2 interceptions. But he really should have had 26 completions because dropped passes, once again, rearing their ugly head for this offense. There were at least 5 dropped passes on Sunday, and they weren't by the rookies. It was Christian Watson, AJ Dillon, and Aaron Jones dropped 2. Those are the guys who need to be stepping up for this team, not the ones making the mistakes. Despite that, Jordan Love still threw 4 or 5 wow throws that were just dimes, and he hit guys in stride for big plays. And the guys that stepped up and made most of those big plays, they were the rookies, Jaden Reed and Luke Musgrave, who I actually said in my preview video, I said they would be crucial in this game, and they were. They were huge. Jaden Reed led the team in receptions and yards with 5 receptions for 84 yards and had a beautiful long touchdown catch. Musgrave had 2 catches, but both of them were for huge chunks of yards late in the game, and he finished with 64 yards receiving. Dontavian Wicks, once again, clutch with 3 catches for 51 yards. Romeo Dobbs, he had a touchdown catch among his 3 receptions. Not sure what is going on with Christian Watson, and maybe we'll talk about that later this week. But after catching the first 2 passes of the game, he was a non factor other than being the target on both of Jordan Love's interceptions. Both of those interceptions came at the very end of the game. One was a ball deflected right in front of Watson, and it's just a bit of bad luck that it went right to a Steeler defender. The other pick was on the final play of the game, and in that situation, he just has to throw it. No one was really open, and Love just had to force it in somewhere. I'm sure the Jordan Love haters will just look at the box score and see the highlights of the interceptions and call for him to be benched. But this game should give the Packers and all the fans some hope for Jordan Love and this offense. There was definite improvement and some really good plays, some wow plays by these guys. And that improvement absolutely must continue because the schedule now hits a difficult stretch. Coming up, Chargers, Lions, and Chiefs. 3 teams that I expect will torch this Packers defense based on what I've seen against any offense that's competent. So, Packers offense is going to be under a lot of pressure to keep the games close. And based on the defense and what the special teams did today, I'm not sure that's possible. I will talk more about that later this week, and we'll get to talk about the Chargers and Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. And looking forward to that. It's a very interesting team, very exciting team. But until then, have a great week, everyone, and go Pack Go.